Hi, my name is Joe Woodham from Torii. Welcome to our vlog series on all things design. Today, I'm joined by Coles Head of Digital Experience, Remya Ramesh. Remya has a wealth of experience having led design teams at the likes of REA Group, Facebook, and most recently, Coles. Her industry involvement ranges from tutoring and lecturing in design, as well as organising the ever-popular Ladies That UX events and Girl Geek dinners to promote more inclusivity of women in design. As a passionate leader and incredible spokesperson, it's an absolute pleasure to speak with you today. Remya, how are you?
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Joe. We're excited.
Absolute pleasure. All right, we may as well jump straight into it. You obviously had a pretty impressive career. I like catching up with you about your experience with Facebook, moving to London and back. But like, as an overall, how's your journey been as a design leader? Tell me a bit about your experience and your journey thus far.
Great question. I'm trying to think, how do I phrase it? You called it as impressive, but on the other side, I feel like, it's just a general career. Like, that's how I see in my side. But two things. I think one, I've probably been at the right place at the right time kind of feel, where I was having certain conversation with people that led me to one job to the other. So that contributed to a part of my story. And secondly, the support and mentoring I got along the way to make sure I'm making the right career moves. So huge thanks to a couple of people in the Melbourne industry, including my mentor, Cameron Rogers, helping me to navigate the career in design. So that's something I want to call out.
That's just, I want to touch on that point really quickly. You mentioned having good people to mentor and guide you. Did you find or seek out Cam Rogers to, I guess, give you that guidance?
I do, but I want to call it out that it wasn't something that I reached out to him saying, hey, can you mentor me? It's more about following his work for a number of years. And I still remember I met him at the Leading the Product conference 5-6 years ago now, and I had this fangirl moment where I saw him in the crowd, but I didn't know how to go and introduce myself to him. And one of my colleagues at the time told, hey, I know him, I'll go and introduce you. And yeah, she just helped me to, hey, this is Remya. And I've just kind of started the conversation with him in that conference, but later I reached out to saying, hey, can I take you out for a coffee? Just want to hear how you're building the design team at Seek. At the time, he was head of design at Seek, and I was part of a smaller a company called Seamless at the time. We're trying to build a product design capability over there. So I was trying to find parallels from people in the industry that I could learn and grow from, and Cam was one of those great personalities that I come across in the industry. So he's been very kind enough to continue that conversation. Every couple of months we would catch up over a coffee and talk. And it kind of felt like, more a friendship more than a mentorship. But at the same time, I was getting a lot out of every conversation we were having. And that kind of led to a great partnership over the years.
I think that's a really important point to raise. Like using people that have been there and done that to help you. It just makes so much sense, and yet not that many people do it. And I think people around you are your biggest assets. If you can find good people that you can have a friendship with and a genuine conversation that's beneficial for both parties, it's such an important thing to be able to utilize.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I want to encourage all of the designers in the market to do, where, find people that are doing similar things in different organizations. And it doesn't have to be a same level or a level above. Even people, I guess our industry, again, this is my take, always obsessed with the title. So don't worry about the title. Go and talk to people who are in different companies doing different, interesting things, and get to know them, get to learn from what they do. And, you never know those conversations where it might take you to. So yeah, just be curious about what's going on in the market, and that's the only way to learn and grow.
100% agree. And then finding people outside of your industry it's really good to get their opinion on your industry, because like we have such a one-sided view on what we're doing or how things look, but getting someone from an outside view is just it's totally different experience. Obviously on that journey as a leader, like you've obviously been in the hiring space for quite some time. Like, what's the main attributes you look for when you're trying to hire people for your teams?
I think the attributes have changed and evolved over time. Early on in my career, I was more focused on finding great design talent from a craft point of view. So I was looking for people who are great in their design or visual design aspect, because you are looking at portfolios, how someone had done their past design projects and stuff like that. But along the way, what I realized, and again, this comes with experience, I guess, I've been in design leadership for the last 10 years and hiring for the last 10 years as well. And along the way, I realized, design as a craft is something you probably can help someone to learn or upskill. But the biggest attribute now I look for in candidates is the collaboration or their teamwork. Is this person a great team player? Is this person I want to work with on a daily basis? Like, someone could be a great person from a design or a craft point of view, but if they're not a great personality to be around in the office, that's a big deal breaker for me. So I hire for potential and I hire for high factor of collaboration. And you could assess that in your interview in multiple ways, really understanding how this person is telling the story. Are they more we in the story in terms of they're talking about we as a team did X, Y, Z, or here's how I partnered with my product or engineering peers to do a piece of work. Like, I really tune in for those signals. And that's a great way for me to understand how someone have, been a great team player or a collaborator in the past.
Yeah, I think that's wow. The more people I speak to, it's been such a big shift as an industry from trying to hire people that are just amazing at their craft to really just focusing on getting a good team working together and having collaboration. And I think everyone's getting better results from product teams when they work well together, as opposed to having one or two superstars just trying to do it all and then people helping them. So like, I've enjoyed watching that shift. It's been really good to see. This is probably the most exciting question I've got for you, because I think from our conversations, like I first asked you, like, why Coles? And what I was interested to find out, what sets Coles apart from its competitors, and I'd like to hear from you, like, what's about to happen at Coles, or like what enticed you to come to Coles?
Wow, that's a big question. I can answer in two layers. The first one is why I joined Coles. When I was looking for a change, given with pandemic, and I was ready to leave Facebook as my last role, I was looking for businesses who are not primarily in the digital or the technology space, and Coles was the number one candidate in that industries I was looking for. Given during pandemic, we realized supermarkets are an essential service to have the economy keep going and also the families keep going. So number one with that, and secondly, really helping to elevate the capability of the business, where I feel like Coles in the past have been a very traditional brick and mortar stores around Australia, and we serve 20 million Australians on a daily basis. So we have huge presence from a physical store point of view, but not a great online experience yet. And that's something I could see as a great opportunity to come in and elevate the product experience for the country and for the people that are shopping with us. So number two on that. And the third factor is the Coles commitment towards sustainability and where we are heading in terms of really maintaining a sustainable sourcing for our produce, and how we even get that to the market, to the customer. So there's a lot of emphasis on physical in-store, but we can reduce our carbon footprint by being online and doing, shopping in a different channel altogether. So that's also another aspect. And just the general diversity and inclusion that Coles brings to the table, which I feel like there's not many companies around the world doing that. I mean, this week, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but Coles CEO publicly joined the movement of valuable 500 companies. That means around the world, 500 CEO and CEOs are committing to create inclusive experiences for the customers. And Coles is the first Australian retailer to sign up for this movement. And that is a huge win for our accessibility team and inclusion team. So these are some of the proud work our team are doing, and I felt like this is the right time to join the leadership to really drive that momentum forward. So that's my personal reason, and kind of touched on some of the aspects from a sustainability, and secondly, the people I get to work with. Every single person I've encountered so far are best of the best, and I'm just really enjoying getting to know them and also learning every day from them. So that's the other reason.
Like, it sounds like you've got in at the perfect time with Coles. They realize that they really need to move towards that digital era. I guess for a designer that's potentially going to look at a career to join Coles, like historically, it's not a place that a designer would go, I'm going to go work at Coles because I'm going to get the best experience. But it kind of sounds like give it 6 or 12 months, maybe that's how things might pan out. Like from where you sit, if I was a designer, why would I want to come and jump on that journey with you?
Very great question, because Coles is not a company that would come to top of mind if designers are looking for a job change or in tech in general. So the reason why I encourage designers to come and join us, one, you'll be a part of an e-commerce journey in Australia. And there's not many companies who's doing at the scale that we are doing, and also at the right timing, because right now we got a larger opportunity in front of us. It's not a highly mature product yet. We are starting to create that great experience. So you'll be a part of shaping what that experience looks like for a large number of Australians. When I say large, 21 million Australians. And there's not many companies catering for that impact and that size. So that's number one. And number two is, again, the flexibility. Right now, we are recruiting all across Australia. So our team have completely moved to remote. And that wasn't something that happened, pre-COVID, but post-COVID, we are thinking about hybrid. So we will have a couple of touch points throughout the year or, bring the team together, but pretty much hiring anywhere from Australia. So if you want to be based in Perth or Tassie or wherever you like, go for it and be a part of this amazing design community that we are curating. So that's the other reason.
I think it sounds really exciting from a design perspective. Like usually as a designer, you're going into a product that's already working and running and like there's not that much you can really impact. But it sounds like where Coles is, there's going to be a lot that you can, well, if you're a designer in 12 months from now or 24 months now, you can sit back and go, I was a part of that. And that's what I helped create. And then so many people touch the product. So it's a pretty exciting prospect, I think. That leads on to the last question. I think the design space, it's a pretty exciting place to be right now. Lots happened in the last 12 probably 10 years, really. Like design used to probably take a back seat. Now it seems to be one of the main focuses of anything tech. Is there any emerging things that are coming out of the design space that you're keeping an eye on or you're really interested in?
Well, firstly, how design is shaping overseas is something I'm always curious about. And what I've learned during my short stint at Facebook, I guess the level the designers are getting involved in US and UK is way, way advanced comparing to Australia. So I'm really taking a bit of inspiration from that and really trying to elevate the design practice here at Coles. And firstly, I want to touch upon what that means. One is, how does design gets paired with data science and AI? Because this is not an area that we are really good at in Australia, because it's not many companies play with that huge data in our world. There's a few companies already doing it, but there's not many around in Australia doing that scale. So at Coles, we've been lucky. We have an amazing digital analytics and optimization team that we partner with. And at the moment, I'm kind of creating a role working with my peer on that area to sit within the optimization space. So they can create a growth squad that we could then pair and partner with different teams to tweak and optimize product experience. And again, running experimentation, testing what that means, and learning from those to create better product decisions and outcome. So that's not something we are doing in Australia very well. But again, companies like Facebook or Netflix, Amazon, they all have growth teams, squads within the area that could run such experiments. So that's an area that I'm really closely monitoring and seeing and helping our designers to understand, how do you work with data science? How do we understand data and trying to kind of induce like your insights? And what does that insight tells you? And how do you actually create design to make sure that you're incorporating the insights, you're learning from the data to create a great product experience? And secondly, just the general awareness of inclusion and inclusive design that's been evolving. I worked in government space for nearly 7 years, and inclusion is a huge part of what I've done in my past life. But I haven't seen more in a corporate world or more in a media or retail world, really thinking about inclusion and how do you create an inclusive experience. With COVID, what we understood is everyone started shopping online, and now we need to start thinking about how do we create an inclusive product experience so people with cognitive difficulties or vision impairments or any form of disability are not prevented from using the technology to access the product or service that your company is offering. And there's a huge momentum going around. That wasn't there 5 years ago, and that's something I'm seeing. More and more companies are being aware of what accessibility and inclusive design looks like, and there's a huge demand for people in that space. And I have to say, one of the many factors that attracted me to Coles is digital accessibility as a separate discipline. So we have in-house 5 to 6 accessibility consultants that pair with different squads and teams around the business to make sure that we're creating inclusive experience. And the last point I want to raise is service design. I think there was a lot of focus on just purely designing digital experience and digital products out in the market, but often we miss the link between online and offline experience. So there's a huge element from a service design perspective. How does people interact with your product and services, not just from an interaction point of view, but what happens before and after? So that's been something companies are starting to think through, and that's an area, again, at Coles, we have a heavy emphasis on. So these are the few things that are top of my mind, and I'm kind of keeping an eye out across the world.
Really cool. So, I think it's Accessibility Week, maybe next week.
This week.
Oh, is it this week? All right, I'm
This week.
late. I think we're releasing a video on that, and Coles kept coming up as one of the number one people that we should be speaking to because you're already doing it so well. But as a designer, I think if you're designing anything and being able to do it with that in mind, it's such an exciting thing to be focusing on. And it's cool that we're actually starting to think that way. But then leading back to the first thing you said, working with like analytics and designing from that, that's an interesting, wow, I haven't seen any of that in Australia. So it'll be interesting to see what you can manage to put together, and then I'll stay in touch and find out how it works.
That'd be great.
Cool space to be in. But Remy, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your time this morning. It sounds like there's going to be quite a lot of growth in the design space at Coles over the next 6 to 12 months and beyond. If I was a designer wanting to get in touch with you or wanting to come work at Coles, what's the best way about doing that? Is it reaching out to you on LinkedIn or?
Well, I don't want to be a bottleneck. Yes, reaching out to LinkedIn would be a great start, but keep an eye out for Coles job ads coming up. Follow Coles on LinkedIn and you will notify when there are new roles coming up. But again, we are on a growth trajectory. We are set to double in the next 6 to 12 months. So
Wow.
Currently, we are sitting around 30 designers, again, including permanent team members and contractors, but we're getting an additional 25 headcount to hire in the next 6 to 12 months. So at this stage, just really focusing on getting these roles to the market is what and my leadership team is focused on. But yeah, keep an eye out. There'll be plenty of opportunities if Coles is a company that you're interested in working on.
How exciting. Watch this space. No, I'm really keen to see how things go. Over the next 6 to 12 months. It's big growth plans, and I think, you've got such an exciting product to work with. It'll be so good to watch and follow.
Amazing.
Other than that, thank you so much for your time this morning, Remy. It was really great to speak with you.